He had trouble making changes. It wasn't until he worked within psychological academia and practiced for many years. It wasn't until it must have been the 50s or maybe into the 60s where a popular book was put out, Man and His Symbols. And it took some time for him to let the symbols go out as a popular book. When it did, it really made a huge new wave of Jungian things. And then he was consistently following that through. But it wasn't an easy change for him. His changes like not come easy. Fire, water, earth, 4 fire, 3 air, 4 earth, 3 water. That's about as evenly balanced as you can be, with the emphasis being on fire and earth, action and practicality. Masculine, feminine, 7-7, balanced. So they're not extremes. The extremes are the fixity, the doing it my way for others, doing things for others, but my way, leading, teaching, showing, counseling, advising. Okay. Points for the rulerships. This is how many planets each is in the sign each planet rules. So 3 points. This over a little bit here so we can see it. There's the sun and the Uranus, and they have 3 points are ruled by the sun. 2 points ruled by the moon. How can that be? Yes, 2 points to Cancer. The Mercury and the Venus is in Cancer, ruled by the moon. Mercury, nothing ruled by Mercury. There's nothing in Gemini or Virgo. So he certainly didn't have the mercurial element. It was a more strategic type of thinking. Venus, 5 points. Venus rules the Taurus and the Libra. So his moon, Neptune, Pluto, and Jupiter all ruled by Venus. So by far his sense of values, he had to be doing what he liked. He had to be appreciated for what he was doing. He had to feel it had value. There was special value in what he's doing, and that others repeated. That's his strongest element. And as long as he was feeling that, the rest of the things would work well. If he felt his values were being challenged, it would significantly challenge the rulership of 5 of his planets and affect his chart more so than almost anything else. So this is just a quick way of looking at the rulerships or the values of them. Okay, so now I'm going to pull out the house side. So we've got the signs here. I'm just going to bring the houses over here. And we'll leave the signs up top so we can. Second, we gotta move this. There we go. Okay. So when we go to the houses, put the planets in. So you have it right 12. 1 point in identity, 1 point of values, 3 points in expression. So as Moon and Pluto are in expression, expressing, teaching, communicating, learning. There's the determined intelligence. So 2 points in duty, 3 points in partnership, the sharing, the relating, 1 point trust, 1 point friendship. So, okay, when you look at rising and setting, 6 and 6, 6 rising, 6 setting, balance. Above the rising 5, 7 below. So a little bit more subjective than objective and functional, a little more into himself than functional, but not that much, not distinctly noticeable. So far, there hasn't been extremes as there are in the signs. 5 intuition, 1 thinking, 4 sensation, 2 feeling. So here it's a little more stronger. Intuition is ability to project his intuitions. 5, the strongest, intuiting and expressing his motivations and where he's coming from, being able to do that. That's his strong sensation or sensibility, ability to react to others, or respond to others in a practical way, in a common sense way, in a functional way. That's 4 points. So his ability to react and his intuitive sense were the 2 sides most accentuated in his chart, not his thinking, not his feeling. In the house, in the signs, they were all fairly even in the seasons. So we look at the angular, succeeding, cadent. In the signs, we had the outstanding, stubborn, fixed, determined, fixed. Here, 4 angular, 3 succeeding, 5 cadent. So in the houses, there's a little bit more adaptability than there is determination. Stubbornness is a small. When it comes to circumstance, when it came to attitudes of signs, his attitude's consistent and fixed and determined. When it comes to the circumstance of the houses and dealing with things, he was somewhat adaptable. So it's 2 different levels. One group of people know him one way, other people know him the other way. Okay, when we look at the house elements, 1 fire, 7 air, 3 earth, 1 water, or self. The self is the houses of self, 1 point. 7 points in houses of relationships. 3 points in concerns, earth houses. 1 point in rewards, water houses. So the ability of relationships and practical concerns are the strongest, but relationships by far stand out in the houses, the ability to relate and communicate and express himself. So we can see, again, a focus on having to express himself. In the signs, it was very even, 4-3, 4-3. But here, there's a distinctive that stands out, relationships. So he has a strong focus on relationships, on interrelating, and he's moving to his attitudes by signs move him into being responsible and being involved more, wanting to go deeper with people or more involved with people, but he's got to do it his way. The 9 points daily is greater. So his way, come into my office. We can talk about what's going on in your life. I can show you what I know. And if it helps you, it will be the reward that I need. Okay, it's simple. I'm just making loose associations. I'm just taking the patterns and expecting them to be there. So once you get used to knowing these patterns work, you begin to expect them to be there. But when we're going through the points, you don't expect a big conclusion, just certain things outstanding. The determination, but some adaptability in the houses. You have the relationship focus, and at the same time, you have so 3 things stand out. His daylight is greater and the darkness increasing, trying to belong, but doing it my way, and his determination by his attitudes. In circumstances, he's more adaptable to adjust to what needs to be done. That's the 5 cadent. And really the focus still goes out about relationships in the air, the 7 points in relationships. So, okay, it's just that the more you would know about Jung, the more you would see these things being reinforced, or causing puzzles that make you think, well, if you saw it differently, why? If it wasn't happening that way, how come? Because sometimes you can overcompensate for astrology. He has that determined fixedness. He may have to work really hard. He'd be very consistent in his own, but he might work really hard to be able to be adaptable in practical ways. Okay. Okay, now, so we've gone through the first 15 points of the pattern type moon phases, sun, moon, ascendant, the points of the signs, the points in the houses. And now we have the planets. Now we have the planets and the signs, the houses, and the aspects, the main core. But this was the overview. This got us into seeing certain balances, certain basic potentials that are there, like the pattern type and the moon phase, before you even look at aspects and just the outstanding points. It's like the little statistical analysis. Okay, so we're just going to go through each of the planets and the moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun. Okay, and I go through each of these. So I'm just going to pull them up here on his chart. I have them prepared a little more separate, a little more distinctly. So let's just see. Okay, so here we have the moon. This shows the moon. It's the same chart. You just see the moon and only the aspects to the moon. And so really, this is how you think when you look at astrology. You're looking at one point. We're looking at the moon. We're seeing the sign it's in this case, the moon's in Taurus. It's in the 3rd house of expression. And it has a square to Uranus, from Uranus and from Saturn, and sextiles from Venus and the Mercury. Okay, so we'll come back to the aspects, but I want to go through with the signs. We just have to go through each of the factors and just touch each of them. We're building up the archetype. We're building up the levels of depth of insight. And